So before we get into this study Bible review here at Disciple Dojo, I want to go ahead and invite you, if you haven't already, to subscribe to this page. Give us a like. We really appreciate your help in growing this channel. Now, let's get into the review. Today, we're going to be looking at the Life Connections Study Bible. Now, if you're on a budget, if a Bible is available in paperback, what I do is I buy the paperback version and then I put contact paper. That's why it's so shiny. You can see this. There we go. What it does is it just holds it together. It keeps the pages from kind of fraying. It keeps the cover from rolling. But basically, for any Bible that I'm not going to carry around regularly, if it's going to stay on the shelf and I'm going to use it when I need to, then paperback with contact paper on it is going to save you anywhere from $20 to $50 instead of buying leather or hardback or any of these other bindings. So that's just a little cheap Bible nerd life hack that you may want to employ. Contact paper, paperback Bible. I'm a big fan. Life Connection Study Bible. It is in the Christian Standard Bible translation, so the CSB. It is 2,118 pages, and then in the back, it has 8 pages of full color maps. It is a single column Bible, and it's also duotone, two-tone, two-color. What's that called? Is that right? Duotone? I don't know. Each page has like blue and gray. So not color pages, but not black and white either. This is a black letter edition, so the words of Jesus are not going to be in red. And the general editor is Lyman Coleman, and then Trevin Wax is the publisher. So let's talk about the features. After the table of contents, then you have an overview of what you're going to find in here. And despite the thickness and the size of this Bible, there's not a lot of extra study material. What I mean by that is, for instance, the introductions to each book are only one page, just a one-page overview introduction, and that's it. There are also no illustrations, there are no photographs, there are no charts, there's really nothing but the study notes at the bottom of the page, and then these things along the margin, which I'll talk about in just a second. At the beginning of the Bible, there are 3 of these study courses, and each study course focuses on a different theme. So this first one, 16 topical study courses. These are going to be sections where you can spend a week studying a different topic. So for instance, key events in the Old Testament, stories from Genesis, the life of Moses, the life of David. And it gives you kind of a breakdown for a whole week, and then the passages and the page number where you would find those topics. The second study course you can do is 200 Bible stories. So they've pulled out 200 famous Bible stories that you may or may not be familiar with. So if you wanted to just up your biblical literacy, maybe you're new to studying scripture, maybe you haven't picked up a Bible in a long time, and you just kind of want the highlights, the Sports Center main event highlights, then this would be a study you could do for a year, looking at these 200 Bible stories in a little more detail. And then the third course they have available is this one. It's called 60 Life Needs. So if you want to study, for instance, here's the topic, masculinity. Then there are these different studies that you can do on the masculinity of Jesus. Women of excellence. Here's a series of studies on women of excellence in the Bible. The Cinderella syndrome, when life is not a ball. Real beauty, living in a world of glitz. So these are for someone who's leading a small group or a Sunday school class or a book club or something, and you see a topic and you want to go, what does the Bible say about this topic? Or what is some of what the Bible says about this topic? Because these aren't exhaustive. It gives you a place to start. It gives you a place to jump in and say, all right, we're going to do this study for this number of weeks on singles, love and loneliness, solitaire on a Saturday night. Where I see this as helpful is if you were trying to get people interested in doing a small group or a Sunday school series or something like that, they've kind of given the topics pretty catchy titles, something you could put in a bulletin, you could put on an Instagram post or a Facebook event that would pique people's interest. They've done a lot of the work for you in that regard. And then you as a group would go through the passages that they have pulled out, and it gives you the page number and it gives you the passage. And then we come to what makes this study Bible unique, which are the discussion questions. So along each page in the margins, there are these different icons. And each icon has a different meaning, which they tell you at the beginning. So the one that looks like a little coffee cup, that is open. It says questions initiate discussion or reflection. Here's a little question. Here's a little icebreaker. Here's an activity. Some of them are like physical little activities that you can do in a group. And they're pretty interesting. I'll show you an example. So we'll take a chapter of the Bible that could be a real challenge to teach or to study in a small group. Genesis 10, the table of nations. Basically a long list of names. It could be very dry. So the opening says, how would you rate yourself at remembering names? That's a icebreaker question. You can throw it out to the group. You guys can talk about remembering names. You can talk about whether you're good or bad. I'm terrible at remembering names, by the way. And then that provides kind of a lead into, okay, we're going to look at a section of scripture. And for those of you that are bad with names, this is going to be tough because these aren't even normal names. These are like ancient biblical names. It's nothing profound. It's just a good, quick way to get a group talking. And if you've ever led a small group, you know that one of the worst things, one of the most painful, like rather go to the dentist than experience this type things, are when you have a small group and nobody talks. They just sit around, they look at their Bible, they look at their phone, they fidget, they're just dead silent. And you're trying to, it's like pulling teeth, trying to get people to talk. So the questions in the margin here are to help alleviate that. If you've ever led a small group, you know how important that is. I really like that. Then the little icon of the open book, this is consider. It'll ask you about something that you just read in that passage. And that combined with the study notes at the bottom of the page are enough to give you, at least in theory, the details of what's going on in this particular passage. So you're not just like, what does this mean to me, right? Because nobody cares. You can come up with all kinds of what does this mean to me stuff. What matters is what did this mean to them? What does this actually mean? Then at the end of that, then we can ask, what does this mean to me? They give you kind of the needed background, or at least that's the intention. Then the little heart icon is apply. So these are questions that encourage application in your daily life. What does the text mean is the first question, but that's not the sum of Bible study, because then you have to ask, why does this matter? Any good Bible study should be, okay, what did the text say? Then how do I apply what this says, or the principle behind what this is saying, into my life today that is so vastly different from the pages of scripture in terms of setting, language, culture, context. So that's what these apply questions are meant to do. They're to help people in the group bridge the gap from the biblical world to the world that we live in. Then they have a few other icons. There's a little hand, and that's for worship. There's a little icon of different people, and that's for groups. And then there's like a magnifying glass, and that's dig deeper. So these are things that, depending on the passage, they provide exercises for a worship setting, like a corporate worship setting. They provide exercises for a group activity, something you can do together that kind of brings home the point of the passage. Or digging deeper, they'll give you something saying, hey, we just scratched the surface here. If you want to go deeper, here's how you can do that. So again, all of this is to help give the person who's in charge of facilitating the Bible study resources, so you're not just floundering with the text and trying to come up with something, reinvent the wheel. And if you're a busy Bible study leader, if you're not ministry full time, so you have a job, you have kids, you have responsibilities, you don't have a ton of time to do in-depth biblical lesson preparation. They've tried to prime the pump a little bit for you. So what are we going to find in this Bible when we actually lift the hood and look inside? Well, when we come to Genesis, it doesn't give a ton of detail. The notes, even in Genesis, they're not bad notes. In fact, they're good in terms of their balance. So in Genesis, for instance, it's not going to teach you a young earth or an old earth view. It's not going to try to get too in the weeds on how Genesis and science fit together. There's a little bit of it. It does have a semi-concordist approach. It tells you that there are multiple interpretations, but it really does focus for the most part on you understanding the text and then getting into the group discussion application. It's nice to see there's emphasis in Genesis on creation care. For instance, the consider question of chapter 1, verses 20 through 25, it says, consider, why is it important for us to care for the earth and its natural resources? That's a great discussion question. That will help you ferret out, if you're a small group leader or a Bible study leader, how people have been shaped by scripture and what they think about caring for the environment. There's a folk theology that's rampant among particularly more conservative evangelical Christianity that says, hey, this whole world's going to burn anyway, so our only job is saving souls and getting them to heaven. It's totally not a biblical concept. Scripture is replete with examples of God's mandate for humanity to care for creation, to steward creation. Even the animals matter to God. That's a whole theme that gets overlooked in some forms of popular Christian folk theology. So it was nice to see that this, not just the study notes, but also the group discussion questions, bringing that out a little bit. When we come to Exodus, there's, again, not a lot of discussion in terms of the historicity. There's not a lot of archaeological discussion. There's not a lot of historical setting. There are no maps. There are no illustrations that help you see what Exodus is describing in the last section of the book in terms of the tabernacle, the priestly vestments, the implements, and that can make it challenging, especially in a group setting, for people to understand. So a group leader would want to show, maybe grab a Bible atlas or a biblical encyclopedia or something with some good images that would help supplement when you're teaching through those sections. I'm surprised that they didn't include anything like that in the study notes. When we come to Romans, that's probably the most disappointing of the books that I've looked at in this study Bible. The introduction to the book of Romans is not only sparse, but it also misses one of the key concepts in the book of Romans, which is the conflict between believing Jews and believing Gentiles, and the tensions that they're experiencing trying to live together as one body. That's arguably the dominant theme of the book of Romans, and there's no mention in it in the book introduction. So that was disappointing. When we come to Romans 7, we look at in these study Bible reviews how different study notes handle it, because Romans 7 is one where interpreters are very much divided on what's happening. Who is this I that Paul is describing? And to their credit, the Life Connection Study Bible contributors do note that there are two ways to read that passage. And they do mention the concept of Paul talking possibly as if he was Adam or one who is in Adam, which is a key concept to understand in making sense of Romans 7. So they mention it. They don't go deep. They don't give as much as probably you would need for a typical reader or small group session to really key in on that, but they mention it, and that's good. However, when we come to chapters 9 through 11, which is where a lot of the disagreement or the trouble that people have with Romans appears, there's almost nothing in terms of making sense of the passage. There's nothing about predestination or election or free will or any of those things that Romans 9 brings up, and there's nothing really about who is the identity of Israel. The all Israel who will be saved. Is that ethnic Jews outside of the church? Is that Jews and Gentiles together? Is that ethnic Jews within the church? What's going on? The notes, again, I mean, here's the study notes. Look, it's like very little. Chapters 9, chapter 10, and chapter 11. I mean, there's just like a couple of lines at the bottom of the page. And that's unfortunate because Romans 9 through 11 is one of the densest and easiest to get lost in passages in the book of Romans. When we come to Revelation, the introduction, again, it's very sparse, it's very short. It does mention the different ways Christians have read Revelation. It does talk about the genre of apocalyptic. It does emphasize that apocalyptic literature relies heavily on symbolism rather than just being read literally like the newspaper written in advance. And it does let people know, hey, Revelation is not an easy book to understand, and there are different ways people read this book. So in that regard, it's good. Likewise, the notes at the beginning in the first 3 chapters, the notes to the churches, do a pretty good job of establishing what was going on in these 7 churches in Asia Minor and how the words that Jesus addresses to each church would resonate in each church setting. So for instance, when we come to Jesus's words to the church at Laodicea, the notes do a good job telling the reader about things like the eye ointment that they had developed at Laodicea in their medical school, about the gold that the city had because of its trade and its wealth, about its textile industries and how it was famous for its very rich, luxurious, colored garments. And it also mentions the hot and cold water and how Laodicea's water was lukewarm because they didn't have a hot spring to get their hot water from. It leaves out that they got their cold water from Colossae, which is weird, so it kind of gets it halfway right. But that's a minor point overall because it does help the readers see the particular meaning of that text. And then when we come to Revelation 20 and the millennium, there is a good long note about different millennial views. Then after Revelation, it has an abridged concordance for the CSB, so you can find keywords in the text. But there's no dictionary, there's no index of articles, that's it, and then the maps. Now, honestly, one thing that really did surprise me about the Life Connections Study Bible is how it handled passages involving women in the churches or women in ministry. I say that because there are no real study notes at all that deal with 1 Corinthians 14 in this Bible, which is the women should remain silent in churches. We've talked about that in other reviews and in Bible for the Rest of Us. If you want to know about that passage, go ahead and click this link right here. But then when it comes to 1 Timothy chapter 2 and Ephesians chapter 5, the notes are surprisingly non-complementarian. They're not anti-complementarian, but what they do is they take the passages that Paul is giving instructions to women or wives, and they really do emphasize the local situational aspect of those commands. And they do not say, therefore, these are universal commands. They don't come out completely and take an egalitarian approach, but they certainly don't take the complementarian approach that you see in many of Holman's other resources. And I say that because Holman is a Baptist publishing company, and the CSB is a Baptist translation. So to see something in a Baptist study Bible, predominantly Baptist study Bible, not pushing a hard complementarianism was kind of refreshing, actually. They don't lean one way or the other. They just keep the focus on this is what the situation that Paul was writing to was experiencing. And that implicitly lets the person studying the text then ask the question, okay, are these commands situational or are these commands universal? And that is a good Bible study session in and of itself. So if you are a small group leader, if you're a Sunday school teacher, if you're somebody who is in charge of putting together lessons or studies for group sessions, retreats, or things like that, I would definitely recommend at least having a copy of this somewhere on the shelf. Maybe put one in the Sunday school room, or if you host a small group, have one of these in your house on the coffee table so that if somebody forgot their Bible, they can maybe use this one. It's good at giving you some thoughts that may spur you into putting together a lesson. They've done a great job in that regard. Now, what they didn't do a great job with is the depth of the notes in terms of study. A good job in terms of application and getting you, thinking about the text, but in terms of teaching you the text, I would not make this your primary study Bible. Also, whoever designed this thing did a really terrible job. I'm going to be honest. This gross navy greenish, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it's just kind of a drab background within like the barely readable mustard color. Just from an artist's perspective and a graphic design perspective, this is not an appealing aesthetic Bible. This is not going to stand out on the shelf. And even inside the pages, the layout of the pages, it's not terrible, but it definitely doesn't jump out at the reader. So that's a minor detail. But I will end on one other strength that it has, because I don't want to end negative, because I really do like this Bible. Each chapter, instead of putting a chapter heading, there is a chapter heading like in bold that the CSB uses, but there's this blue overview of each chapter, and it tells you what's going to happen in the chapter and why it matters, how it links to the rest of the book. Those are really good. It's not just a Jesus casts out a demon. It's, hey, here's what's happening in this section, and here's how it fits with what you've read so far. It's a very subtle thing, but just having this little chapter description that tells you what's happening really helps not just an individual stay focused as you're reading through the text. Sometimes our eyes can kind of glaze over and we're like, oh, wait, what chapter am I in again? But for a group setting to sum up, hey guys, okay, we're in chapter 6 this week of Mark. Here's what it's about. Or to sum up previous chapters. Guys, remember last week we looked at chapter 5? Go ahead and read the chapter heading. That's where we were. Now, this is what's going to happen in this chapter. It does a good job of helping anchor people into the text wherever they are so that they know kind of what's come before, what comes after, and why it matters. I really enjoy these chapter headings. Usually I'm not a fan of things that break up the text, but in this case, from what I've seen, the ones that I'm able to review, they did a really good job with that. So kudos, Holman, on that aspect in particular. So those are my thoughts. Completely honest, candid. I was not paid. I was not given this Bible. I bought it with my own money, and that's what I think about it. What do you think? Have you used the Life Connections Study Bible? If so, let me know. Share that in the comments below. Guys, be sure to check out our other Study Bible reviews here on the Disciple Dojo YouTube channel. Click the Bible Nerd playlist. There's plenty of them. If you have suggestions for other study Bibles you would like me to review, go ahead and leave those in a comment below. If you appreciate this video, like it, share it, let other people, particularly people in ministry, let them know about this channel and what all we have here at Disciple Dojo. Stick around. We're going to be doing some more live stream teaching. We're going to be doing more study Bible reviews. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming this year here at Disciple Dojo. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.